morning, dear children. In the previous class, we completed with chapter 4 in the earliest cities. I hope you all have completed your notebooks by writing question answers and also the keywords. Children, chapter 5 of history is deleted. It's not in your syllabus. So we will be starting with chapter 6, Kings, Kingdoms and an Early Republic. I hope you all have got it. So we will be starting with chapter 6, Kings, Kingdoms and an Early Republic. In this chapter, children, we will be studying about the history in the past. We have seen the democratic form of government in the previous chapters of civics. And I hope you all are very well aware how the ruler is appointed in a democratic government. But in the past, there were no rulers. They were kings and their kingdoms. So, we will be studying how these kings, they were appointed. They sat on the throne and what all things they did to gain more and more power and conquered and even annexed different kingdoms, different territories and even different cities. So how did they do it? How they gain more and more power? By doing various sacrifices, by doing different yagyas and even by invading other kingdoms. So let's start with the explanation of this chapter. So children, let's start with the explanation of kingdom, king and an early republic. First, we will talk about Rajas. Some of the Rajas, they were chosen by the Jana. Some were recognized as Raja by performing Ashwamedh. Children, now what is Ashwamedh? The Ashwamedh or horse sacrifice was one such ritual which was performed by the Rajas. It was one of the rituals performed by the Rajas in which a horse was let loose to wander freely and was guarded by Raja's men. And if the horse wandered into the kingdom of other Rajas and they stopped it, they had to fight. And if they allowed the horse to pass, they accepted the power of the Raja. So this is what Ashwamedh Yagya was, which was performed in the olden days by the kings. Now, children, we will be studying about Varnas. Let's see what are Varnas. Children, in the olden days, there were 4 Varnas. Varnas, or we can simply say the divisions in the society. First Varna was Brahmins, to study Vedas and perform sacrifices. So what was the work of the Brahmins? To study Vedas and perform sacrifices. Second was Kshatriyas. Now what was their work? The rulers who fought battles and protected people. So Kshatriyas were the rulers who fought battles and they protected the people. Third was Vaishyas. Vaishyas included farmers, traders and herders. The last was Shudras, and Shudras were to serve other 3 groups. So this was how the Indian society was divided into the 4 Varnas, that is Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, and even their work was distributed according to their names and according to their position in the society. Now let's again move on to Janpads. The Rajas who performed these big sacrifices like the Ashwamedh Yagya were now recognized as being Rajas of Janpads rather than Janas. The word Janpad means the land where the Jana set its foot and settled down. So what was Janpad? Janpad means the land where the Jan set its foot and settled down. So it's the land where this Rajas kept his foot and he settled down over there. Archaeologists have excavated a number of settlements in these Janpads, such as Purana Kila in Delhi, Hastinapur near Meerut, and Atranjikhera near Etah. The last two are in Uttar Pradesh nowadays. They found that people lived in huts and kept cattle as well as other animals. They also grew a variety of crops like rice, wheat, barley, pulses, sugarcane, sesame, and mustard seeds. So these were the crops which were cultivated in these Janpads by the Rajas. Now let's see what is Mahajanpads. About children 2500 years ago, some Janpads they became more important than others and they were known as Mahajanpads. Most Mahajanpads they had a capital city of their own and many of these were fortified. Fortified means that huge walls of wood, brick or stone were built around them. And children, do you know why the forts were built? Forts were built because people were afraid of attacks from other kings and needed protection. It is also likely that some rulers they wanted to show how rich and powerful they were by building really large, tall and impressive walls around their cities. So in this way, the land and the people living inside the fortified area could be controlled more easily by the king. Thousands, if not lakhs of bricks or stone, it has to be prepared. This in turn meant enormous labor, that is, lot of labor was required in building these forts and provided possibly by thousands of men, women and even children. So children, this is the map of the Mahajanpads. It's given in your NCERT book, you can go through it. Then this is the painted greyware earthen pot designed with simple lines and geometrical designs. So this is the earthen pots and some of these were in grey color while others were in red, and one special type of pottery was known as painted greyware. And as the name suggests, these are grey in color and they had painted designs, and these designs were usually simple lines and geometrical patterns. Now this is the fortification wall at Jaipur. As I have told you that huge forts were built, and the reason also I have told you that people were afraid of attacks from other kings and they needed protection. So forts were built, and this is the picture of one of the forts which was built by the rulers to show their power and richness. Now moving on to the taxes. What are taxes? Taxes on crops were the most important. This was because most people were farmers. Usually the tax was fixed at 1/6 of what was produced, and this was known as bhaga. So children, taxes were charged on crops which was most important, and this was because most people were farmers, and usually these taxes was fixed at 1/6 of what was totally produced, and this was known as bhag. And there were taxes on craftspersons as well, and these could have been in the form of labor. Then herders were also expected to pay taxes in the form of animals and animal produces. So children, finally we can sum up by saying that taxes was most important. The taxes were charged on the 1/6 produced, of the land, and then taxes were charged on craft persons in the form of labor, and then the herders, they also have to pay taxes in the form of animals and animal produces. Now let us see what were the major changes in agriculture. The major changes were the growing use of iron plowshares. Heavy and clayey soil could be turned into good land and more grain could be produced. People began transplanting paddy plant, and this led to increased production as many plants survived. Slave men, women and landless agricultural laborers, they had to do this work. So, this was the major changes in agriculture which took place. Now, we will see Magad. Magad Empire, it lasted from 684 BC to 320 BC in India, and the two great epics you all are familiar, that is Ramayana and Mahabharata, mentioned the Magad Empire. It is said that the Shishunga dynasty founded the Magad Empire. Some of the greatest empires and religions of India also originated here only in this empire. The Gupta Empire and Mauryan Empire, they both started from here only, from this empire only. And the great religions like Buddhism, Jainism, they were also founded in Magad Empire only. So, Magad Empire, it lasted for so many years and it was the originator of Ramayana and Mahabharata, then so many religions were they originated. Then the greatest empires like the Gupta Empire, Mauryan Empire, they too started from here only. Then Magad Empire gained much power and importance during the rule of King Bimbisara and his son and his successor Ajatashatru. So, Bimbisara is said to have been murdered by his son Ajatashatru, and the Magad Empire in India extended in the modern day Bihar and Patna and even some parts of Bengal. Children, Magad Empire was a part of the 16 Mahajanpads, and the empire extended up to river Ganga, and the kingdoms of Kosala and Kashi, they were annexed. The places that came under the Magad Empire were mostly republican in nature, and the administration was divided into judicial, executive and military functions. So, this is the Magad Empire, children. You can go through the map. Then Vajji or Vriji, Pali Vajji, confederacy of the Licchavis and neighboring peoples in Bihar, India, that existed from the 6th century BC to the 4th century BC. Its capital was at Vaishali, Bihar, and it was governed as an aristocratic republic. Gautam Buddha is said to have modeled the organizational structure of the Buddhist monastic order Sangha on the government of the Vriji. In the 4th century BC, the marriage of Chandragupta to a Licchavi princess helped to establish the Mauryan dynasty. So, Vriji or Pali Vajji is the confederacy of the Licchavis and the neighboring peoples in Bihar, and its capital was Vaishali, and it was governed by an aristocratic republic. And Gautam Buddha, it is said to have lived in the organizational structure of the Buddhist monastic order. So, in the 4th century, children, the marriage of Chandragupta was performed to a Licchavi princess, which helped to establish the Mauryan dynasty. And Vajji was under a different form of government known as Gana or Sangha. Gana is used, so children, what is Gana? Gana is used for a group that has many members
whereas a Sangh means organization or association. In a Gana or a Sangh, thousands of rulers were there, each called a Raja. These Rajas discussed matters together. So now children, have you understood the difference between Gana and Sangha? First, Vaji was a form of government and it is known as Gana or Sangh. Now what is the difference between Gana? Gana is used for a group that has many members, whereas Sangh is used which has many organization or associations. In a Gana or Sangh, thousands of rulers were there and each ruler was called a Raja, and these Rajas, they discussed all the matters together. So that's all for today children. I hope you have understood the chapter. For better understanding, go through the chapter, read the chapter and mark all the important points related with the terms which I have explained you in this video. So that's all for today. Thank you. Have a good day.